Welcome, everybody. My name is Felix Eduardo NALLIM. I am a doctor and geriatrician. I am master in social gerontology. I am president of Argentine Gerontological Association, AGA, also president 22 World Congress of Gerontology and Geriatric, AGG, 2022, Buenos Aires, Argentina. I have the great honor to introduce a Licenciado Alejandro TRAPÉ, Argentina. Degree in Economics from the Faculty of Economic Sciences of the National University of Cuyo and Master in Economics of the Instituto Torcuato Di Tella, Buenos Aires, Argentina. He has been Dean, Vice Dean, and Director of the Bachelor Degree in Economics of the Faculty of Economic Sciences of the National University of Cuyo. He is currently Professor of Argentine Economy and International Monetary Economics at the School of Economic Sciences of the National University of Cuyo. He is Director of Center for Research and Economic Linkage of the Faculty of Economic Sciences of the National University of Cuyo. He is also a partner of A+C Consultores, dedicated to training in economic financial issues, analysis of economic issues, analysis and evaluation of private investment projects, company valuation, and portfolio decision.
Thank you for this introduction. And we start with the conference. First of all, I would like to thank to the organizers of this important event, in particular, Dr. Felix NALLIM, for inviting me to present and giving me the opportunity to reflect on some of the issues and the problematic of the older adults, in particular in economic issues. In this conference, we will talk about the silver economy. The silver economy is really the branch of the global economy or the global economic science that deals with the problem with the older adults, their needs, their consumption, their patterns, and the problematic of their incomes and their spendings. The silver economy, in this sense, appears 10 years ago, approximately, and give some important attention of the multilateral organism as World Bank or IDB, and develop many issues and many problematic associated to the older adults. In Europe of 2060, we expect that 1 of each 3 persons will be over 65 years old. 1 of 3. It means 33% of the people will be over 65 years old. A similar trend, increase of life expectancy, inversion of the demographic pyramid, will follow on the rest of the developed countries and later on the rest of the emerging countries or the less developed countries. The forms of consumption, therefore, will be modified, and the older adults will be the engine of the global economy. 1 of 3 people will be older than 65. They will be the engine of the economy, of the global economy, and we must to attend this situation. Hence, the concept of silver economy, the economy of the future of our economy. Economists will have to take it into account because the patterns of consumption will be modified all over the world. And the older adults will gain weight in the total consumption, and their patterns and their customs will be more and more and more important each year. The silver economy arises that a need to analyze that behavior 10 or 15 years ago, analyze the needs and the consumption patterns of the older adults due that the fact that the world economy will be aging. In 1950, only 5% of the people of the world was older than 65 years old, only 5% in 1950. Then in 2000, in the 21st century, this percentage arises to 7%. 7% of the world population was older than 65 years old. The perspective is that the people who have more than 65 years old will be 16% at 2020. The increasing of this percentage shows that the population of the world is aging day by day, year by year. However, as in other important issues like inflation or unemployment or poverty or infrastructure or growth, the situation is not the same all over the world. It's not the same in each country. It's not the same in developed countries or in the emerging countries or developing countries. That is, that we cannot study with the same skin or the same patterns all the people of the world. The economic reality of the people is not the same all over the world. Then the economic reality of other adults is not the same all over the world. The economic reality of an other adult of Canada or Australia is not the same that the economic reality of an older adult of Argentina or South Africa, for example. In the world, not all the people have the same economic reality. In developed countries, most developed countries, the incomes for pensions of an older adult can be 20 times for the same work, 20 times measured in dollars than the income of an older adult in other countries, in developing countries or emerging countries, 20 times. Instead, they are working in similar conditions all over their lives. It says a teacher, a nurse, an engineer, the pension is 20 times. This is an important difference in incomes and, of course, an important difference in possibility of consumption, possibility of travel, possibility of buy a service of medicals or odontologists, etc. In developing countries, there are also a difference inwards. It is possible that there are in the same system other adults who receive very high pensions, 15 times the pension of the other adults in the same system, in the same pension system. This makes a problem because their needs are not covered enough, and they need to, we need to study with the different schemes and with the different yardstick we need to compare. The silver economy understand the traditional silver economy that arose in the last 10 years, understand that older adults have the following characteristic of features in their economic needs and consumption. These features: a high purchasing power, and they are free of economic charge. Economic charge means sons, daughters, granddaughters in charge. They are free of them most of times. In second place, they have time to do what they always want to do: travel, live new experience, treat themselves medically or aesthetically, etc. In third place, they are mostly active people who likes to take care of themselves, play sports, eat well, be fun, etc. They are usually loyal to her brands, consume that more than the young people, demand more specific product, more expensive product, more sophisticated products. And at last, they have more free times, and like to take advantage of it with leisure activities, cultural activities. These is the features, those are the features of an older adult that silver economy considers. But we must ask us, is it the same thing all over the world? These features, these characteristics are the same all over the world when we are looking at an older adult? The answer will be no. In developed countries, maybe in developed countries, Australia, Canada, the United States, some countries of Europe, we have probably these characteristics or these features in the older adults. But in the rest of the world, in the less developed world, on emerging countries, we not have this characteristic. The older adults have another problematic, another issues, another problems that make their lives more difficult. They have many incomes that are not enough to buy all the things that they want to buy, etc. Why this happen? Because in general, the pension systems are not the same, not functions in the same way. One of the causes is this problem or this difference, which prevents that the older adults from behavior under the former assumptions of the traditional silver economy are the pension system of each country. The Mercer Institute makes annually an indicator of the proper functioning of the pension system, of the of the well-being of the pension system in each country. And we can observe in the 2021 edition that many countries such as Denmark or Iceland or Netherlands, they have above of the graphic, have pension systems that functions very well. And then the older adults of these countries receives incomes high and receives a service of the global pension system goods. But at the same time, in 2021, there are many countries in where the pension systems don't function very well. Argentina, Brazil, China, Indonesia, in general, less developed countries and emerging countries. These are differences so significant because the punctuations, if you see, of Denmark, for example, is 82 points in front of 41.5 points in Argentina. It's half, the half. The differences are so important. Given this evidence, it is clear that the economic situation of the older adults in different countries is not the same, can't be the same. If this is done, the understanding of the problem of the older adults will be better. We need to understand better the problematic of each country, because in this way, the solution will be better too, will be more accurate, will be more appropriate for each country. We cannot apply the solutions for proposal for the developed countries in emerging countries, because the problematic is so different. In this way, in less developed countries, for example, Argentina, South Africa, Brazil, the economic problems of the older adults are different and present some issues that we need to consider. Their purchasing power is not so high, it's very low, and the older adults are not totally free of economic charge. For example, they have to help her son or her daughter economically, or her grandson. They are not totally free of economic charges. In the second place, many times they need financial support of their sons or their daughters. They need financial support. They need the help. In third time, they have time to do what they always want to do, but they don't have the money. They have the time, but not have the money. Instead, in many cases, they now have more time because they need to continue working. They not have free time as an older adult in developed countries. They need to continue working because the incomes of the pension systems are not enough. And thus, they demand more health-specific products and services that are so expensive for them because they have low incomes. Then the problematic, as you see, is so different, and the possibilities of the older adults are so different. We can't study or explain the situation of this group of people with the terms of the silver economy that World Bank or IDB presents. They need to correct the scheme of the silver economy to understand well the situation. because if we don't do that, we don't understand the situation, we don't understand the problematic, and we don't, or we will not be able to propose the correct solutions, because we will be thinking in the solutions of the development countries and not the solution accurate to the domestic country or the emerging countries in which we live. Why this difference? Why this difference are so high in many cases? In the core, in the heart of the problem are the pension systems. Because in much of these countries, less developed countries, the pension systems are broken. In many cases, the pension systems are politically used, because the income of the pension systems are used for other things, not for paid pensions. As a result, we have low pensions. In second term, the older adults of these less developed countries have low savings. In many cases, they have zero savings. They have low own wealth. They have zero wealth, economic wealth, financial wealth. In these countries, there are a poor care system, a poor attention, a poor medical system. And in these countries, many times, there are expensive, so expensive medical service and medical drugs, health drugs. These features makes difficult or makes new difficulties in the life of the older adults on these countries, on these less developed countries. As a conclusion, in real, when we have a new branch of economic science named silver economy that study the problematic of the uses of the older adults all over the world, and facing the fact that the world population is aging, and the person who has more than 65 years old is growing, and it reached the 16% in the 2020, we need to adapt the scheme and the rules and the point of view of the silver economy, adapt to study the cases of the older adults in the developed countries, because the problematic is so different and the issues is so different. For example, as we see in a country, in developed country, we named Australia, Canada, France, Germany, the problematics is different because the older adults has many pension systems that functioned very well. Their incomes are representative, are enough to cover their needs, and they have only the problem, maybe, the problem of waste her time or his time and travel and visit her family. In the less developed countries, of course, we named Argentina, South Africa, Brazil, Bolivia, Chile. It's not the same thing because the incomes are less, are low, the savings, low wealth, and many times the older adults, a person over 65 years old, needs to continue working, and they have no time to see her grandsons or to travel. If we not make this adaptation, this transformation of the theory of the silver economy, the solutions that the silver economy provides will not be able to be applied in our less developed countries, and there will be no appropriate or not accurate. In this conference, I tried to transmit this concept. The silver economy is a very good branch of economy, of global economy or economic science. Very good because treats or deals a specific problematic of the other adult that is very important and very needed. But we need to transform this concept or adapt these concepts to deal with the problematic with the less developed countries or emerging countries. Thank you very much for your attention, and I will be able to hear our questions and try to answer.
Thank you very much, Dr. TRAPÉ, for your excellent presentation.